All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson by giving all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us all this truth and who also rule and teach well. And Shalom to all the Achim in this truth and sincerity, starting with the 144,000 and the 1/3 of the nation of Israel, which we are fighting to be a part of. This is your brother Khabar Yakal coming back, Lord willing, with another quick and edifying lesson. And basically, I'm just gonna do a video going into this BBC article, which I believe, it was from 2 days ago. This is a video of U.S. missile fired at mysterious orb shown at UFO hearing. All right, and this, of course, this was big news a few days ago, and after this happened, a lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff started coming out, the Charlie Kirk thing, which I just did a lesson on that, which I believe, I said it in that video, but I think it was set up. But I was saying I think he actually got smoked. But at the same time, that could have just been fake. Esau has been doing crazy special effects, for the longest. So imagine what they got now with special effects, especially that couldn't have been AI or CGI because it was in public, it was a plethora of witnesses. But it still could have been staged. But that's beside the point. I'm basically just saying a lot of stuff happened after this happened, which I'm about to play the clip. I'll play it right now. A whole lot of distractions. That's what I was saying.
Got to work together and de-escalate the hate and the rhetoric in this country. And remember, we're Americans, and you can disagree in a way that doesn't end in a horrible way today did.
Whatever you think of his views or my views, he was trying to engage in civil discourse on college campuses.
He cannot risk.
Wait a minute, that's the wrong thing. Let me do this.
The rules of the internet.
Right, so, we're at the end. The scripture says Esau is the end of the world, which Esau, Edom, is the so-called white race, the so-proclaimed white race. They're the Edomites, the biblical Edomites. And it says, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The descendants of Jacob, which became Israel, or the 12 tribes of Israel, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And these signs are signs that we're at the end. All right. Matthew 24, the 24th chapter, Yahweh Shai told us of numerous amount of signs to look for to know that he's going to come back soon. And one of them was, signs in the heavens. All right, I think that's in Luke 21, if I'm not mistaken. That's in Luke 21, but it speaks about, signs in the heavens. Yahweh Shai told us to look for, such things. And this is an example of that. All right. So-called UFO, which, stands for unidentified flying object. Well, really, the prophets, which Lord willing were of that, we're here to tell you those are identified and they're in the Bible. All right. They're the vehicles of the angels, the angelic vehicles. And they're known as the chariots. All right. They're also known as clouds. They're also known as, horses. A white horse. Speaks about that in Revelation. I behold a white horse. That's really talking about a so-called UFO, a chariot. That's how the Lord is going to return. All right. Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His true name is Yahweh Shai. First and foremost, his father's name is Yahweh, which means he exists. And his son's name is Yahweh Shai, which means he saves and he delivers, because that's what he's coming back to do. But what vehicle will he return in? An angelic vehicle, a so-called UFO.
October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. you'll see that another MQ-9 launched a hellfire missile, and I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does. This is when it zoomed
Right. So basically, you saw it right there.
out. So you can still see it traveling.
You know, it was I'm gonna show it one more time. Right. So that's why these devils are scared, man. You know, if you noticed, you know what, they're showing this at a congressional hearing, because this is something that's a threat to their whole society. All right, like they would say, a threat to national security. That's what those UFOs are to Esau. All right. Matter of fact, I really didn't even have the scripture in mind. I already had two scriptures lined up, but I'm gonna start with this because this is a threat to Esau. You saw they shot a missile that was off of the coast of Yemen, and I believe they said that video was captured 2024, but I think it just got released. You know, that like they had. So imagine what else they have. You know, imagine what other footage that they have of chariots of the angels, and they got the most powerful telescopes. You know, they got all type of crazy, technology to be able to see these things. Excuse me. Making some tea. But they got all type of man, it's lucky. They got all type of technology to be able to view these things in the heavens. All right, but I'm gonna get this real quick. Where is it? Zechariah. This is Zechariah 5:1. It says, and let me do this too. Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying robe. All right, so this was written thousands of years before the airplane was invented, before there was any man-made vehicles, in the sky. This was written. So what did he see if he saw a flying robe? All right, he saw a so-called UFO. Yes, UFOs are in the Bible. All right, and that's what people are gonna understand, either the easy way or the hard way. All right, but most people are gonna find out the hard way. The UFOs are the vehicles of the angels, by getting zapped by a laser beam, sent back to the spiritual world, and then they understand everything now. That's how most people are gonna get it. But hey, that shows you how blessed we are to be able to get it without having to be judged. We're able to understand 100% truth in the flesh. That's something to marvel at, and that's something to be grateful for. And it should also put fear in us too. All right, these people, most of the people in the world, the only way that they could get what we know is being smoked and sent back to the spiritual world. Like, man, verse 2, and he said unto me, what seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying robe. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. And in the NLT it says about 30 feet long and about 15 feet wide. I'm not sure how accurate that is, that translation, but because they go off sometimes. It says, then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. So that's these chariot sightings You know, for us, it's a good token, it's a good sign. But for Esau, Edom, why do you think they created the Space Force? All right, because it's a bad token on them. It's a bad omen. Seeing those chariots, because when you look at the history of this country, which, by the way, the most chariot sightings happen. I believe the most chariot sightings, the most so-called UFO sightings, happen in America, if I'm not mistaken. You know, North America, because the history of this country is so bloody and so treacherous. You know, the Most High is watching this place. Matter of fact, hold up. Hey, another one just came into my mind. You know, Amos chapter 9 and verse 8, it says, "Behold, the eyes of the Lord, power, Yahweh Bahashemi Hawashai, are upon this sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord." So the eyes of the Lord are on this sinful kingdom, which, you know, in the original sense of the scripture, it was talking about wicked Israelites, which that still applies to today. You know, 2/3 are going to be cut off and die. But you could apply this to America. This is a sinful kingdom. You know, America is known as Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. You know, America is known for corrupting people. You know, making people into deviants. You know, making people into drug addicts. All right. Making people into sex addicts. All right. Making people, making men into women and women into men. This place is just confusion. So the eyes of the Lord are on this place, and he will destroy it. You know, we're just telling you what the Lord said he's going to do. You know, don't shoot the messenger. But you know that they're going to try to shoot at us. Like it says, they shoot on him in secret. They shoot at him even hurtful words, you know, something like that. Even bitter words. But I'm going to go ahead and get what I had initially going into the war in heaven. Because you saw they shot a missile at it and it had no effect. Either the chariot straight up and down and dodged the missile, either it bounced off, or it's just straight up phased through the chariot. Because those are vehicles. What you have to understand is those vehicles are pure energy. All right, that's why it said when Yahweh Shai comes back, it said he's coming back in a white horse. A horse represents power, and white represents purity. So he's coming back with pure power. All right, those chariots is pure energy. It's not like a vehicle. It can't crash. It can't, you know, run out of gas. There's no steering wheel. It's a spiritual vehicle. It's a living vehicle. You know, matter of fact, I'll say this: a chariot itself is a vehicle, but a chariot itself is an angel. You know, and I'm not trying to, you know, sound deep or controversial. I'm just saying what the apostle said, but it makes sense when you think about it. You know, I believe Elder Apostle Tahar said that. But I'll get this Revelation. I'll end off on this. I had 2nd Ezra 13 too, but I'll just get this real quick for time's sake. But it says Revelation 12. And I'm going to just read straight through. It says, "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels